We have our first of the day tornado warning that's now in southern Brunswick County and on the western side of Mecklenburg County. So that is a tornado warning, and that very clearly is rotating. Now, we don't know if it's on the ground, but if you're in southern Brunswick County, Route 58 and south, you want to be taking shelter now. So zoom in on this, and we'll look at the areas that are in this. Let me move this out of the way. At the moment, the storm is down here. The storm is about to come across the state line, though, and the National Weather Service has issued this tornado warning. And I would imagine, Rachel, I don't know if you've looked into that one yet, but I would imagine that that is a tornado warning that probably goes until 12 o'clock or 12:15.
Until
12:15. Until 12:15. Thank you, Rachel. That's going to be lifting to the north. But you can really clearly see what we call the couplet. The green or blue is going toward the radar site, which is in Wakefield, and the red's going away, and that thing is rotating. We haven't yet seen reports of that one on the ground yet, but that is a rotating thunderstorm, and we'll be doing continuous coverage at least until 12:15. And this cell has been impressive in that it's held together. It's been going for a while. So I'm going to track this one. I'm going to use the on-screen buttons here and switch over and show you what it looks like. And we'll put a little squall line on it because this is I think it's still probably just to the south of the North Carolina state line. But as we lift this one off to the north at about 30 miles an hour, the areas that need to be, concerned here, and again, this is in rural Brunswick County. And Brunswick County, to set the stage, is down in the southwestern portion of our viewing area. But these communities, Elam's at 11:51, that's a few minutes from now, Barker Crossroads, Golsonville, Diamond Grove, these are all communities here. And the southern portion, as I'll pull out a little bit wider here, the southern portion of Brunswick County. And so that is pretty far down there, right? If you're in Richmond or Henrico, there's no immediate threat. We think that we may get some tornado warnings where this line moves to the east, but Henrico, the city, Chesterfield, Dinwiddie, central and northern Brunswick County at the moment, you don't have really a concern level here, but on the southern portion of Brunswick County, and that is, a good hour and a half, 2 hours south of the Richmond metro area, that's where we have that tornado warning that we want to talk about. I'm going to take the data off here and just show you the map again, and you can see where that is. Oh, so there's basically two. There's one for the North Carolina portion of it, and then there's another one for the southern Brunswick portion of it. So we're going to zoom in again. Now, this is where there's an active tornado warning. Dinwiddie's up here. This is Brunswick County. This is in the southern portion here of Brunswick County. So I'm going to go in a little bit closer here so you get an idea of the communities that we want you to take shelter. And when we say take shelter, this is an interior room of your home. So we'll look at some of the roads here. Again, in rural southwestern portions of Brunswick County, Hendricks Mill Road. If you're on Tillman Road there, these are all roads, Robinson Ferry Road, these are all roads in southern Brunswick. Now, by the way, this is south, and I'm going to give you a setup here. And I know if you're watching this up in Richmond, you're going, man, that is way down there. But here's Lawrenceville, which is kind of the center of Brunswick County along Route 58. And south of Route 58 are the folks that want to be watching. So if you're in Lawrenceville, you're not in the warning, but at this point you want to be thinking about, okay, where do I go if I'm in Lawrenceville? Be ready to take shelter. And I think Brunswick County may have actually closed their public schools during the day today, but if there's anybody at school or at work, you should be thinking now in Lawrenceville, where do we go? Where's an interior room that's away from windows? But south on 46, you run into it. And again, I'll show you some of the streets here that you need to be taking shelter in some of the neighborhoods. Obviously Route 46, but that's called Dry Bridge Road. So we're basically in, let me pan this picture down. We're about as far south in our viewing area. We're as far south as our viewing area as you get, the southern portion of Brunswick County. So we'll switch over here now and give you an idea as to what this looks like here. And let me pan the map one more time and see what the radar, this is... Rachel, you with me that this looks like it hadn't even come into Virginia yet?
Yeah, that looks like that rotation couplet isn't even over the state line. The radar, of course, just a little bit behind, but They are saying it's radar indicated, and it's nice to get a little bit of that prep time to find your safe spot.
Yeah, so if you're in southern portions of Brunswick County, we want you to be ready. All right, you're set up to take over, Rachel, for just a little bit?
Yeah,
you want me to stick with it a little bit?
I'll show you that tornado watch for a second.
So again, southern Brunswick County, you need to be seeking shelters. It looks like a tornadic thunderstorm is on the other side of the state line and headed your way.
Yeah, and we've kind of been talking about that time frame from 11 o'clock this morning until 3 is that sort of framing of where we're expecting the biggest threat of severe weather, and that's when that tornado watch does expire, but not until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So even though we just have that one tornado warning out for southern Brunswick County, everyone should start to be thinking about their safe place with that tornado watch in place for really most of central Virginia as we head into the next couple of hours. And just going over sort of where that safe spot is. And maybe if you don't know, you're wanting to stay away from windows indoors, cover your head with a blanket, a helmet, or pillows, maybe even going into your bathtub and covering up yourself with those blankets, helmets, and pillows, things to just really protect your head from potential flying debris. And look where this green highlighted area is, the hallway, stairs, interior closet, interior bathroom. And of course, here in Central Virginia, a lot of us have basements. So basement is going to be the best place to seek shelter, to stay away from that flying debris that we could see with that potential funnel cloud and a tornado. First alert Doppler radar showing you now where that tornado warning continues to churn. We're going to see an area of potential rotation and some lightning now moving out over the state line. And Andrew, if you want to come over here and maybe press some of those fancy buttons that you have. But again, we're seeing this continue to move north at about 30 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's the one game in town. You know, it's the one game in town, but it's not entirely. We think that either this line moves through, the line that's got that tornado warning embedded in it, either it moves through and you get a big downpour and a big gusty wind, you know, over the next few hours, that line's going to slide east, or we could continue to have a few more of these tornado warnings. And we kind of think there's spots in the atmosphere that really want to twist. It's not this stuff over here. Like if you're in Williamsburg, I would think you're okay for the time being. That batch of rain up in Caroline County is not really doing anything. But Charlottesville, all the way down through Lunenburg and Mecklenburg County, it is that line right there that is sliding to the east. And so we're, again, going to zoom in here on Brunswick County. So I'll hit the on-screen buttons here, and we'll do it. We'll do a zoom just to give you an idea. And again, this is moving slowly. The National Weather Service is tracking this one moving to the north at about 25 or 30 miles an hour. And we're starting now in the southwestern portion of Brunswick County to see some lightning as well. The expiration time of that warning down here, let's take a quick look at that one. I think the expiration time of this warning south of the state line is at noon, and then it's at 12:15 for us. So that's, again, oh, and we should mention, it does include a little bit of a portion of Mecklenburg County. That's the far western side of Mecklenburg County. So we'll show you the map again. We'll take the data off and you'll take a look. But this is southern Brunswick, eastern Lunenburg County to the south of South Hill. And just take another quick look at where it is rotating. You can see that rotating cell right there very clearly. And so this is a good bit away from Lawrenceville. If you're in Lawrenceville, I'd be on high alert, but I wouldn't be in your safe space just yet. Totero, same thing. Powelton, same thing. As we put the map on, you can see that the warning does not include anything other than the southern portion and the western portion of Brunswick County. And let's show you again some of the streets here, because I think it could be helpful. Well, let me hit I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit more first. But we want to give you, there aren't a whole lot. This is rural portion of the Commonwealth, so we can't give you a whole lot of villages in here, but we can label streets for you. And the areas that need, there's Tillman Road. Now, these are south. These are all Robinson Ferry. These are all south of Route 58. So if you're in Brunswick, be picturing, if you don't have a map to look at, if you're south of 58 and you're along 46 or west, you should be at a really high level of concern and should be working your way toward your safe space as we speak. That's Elam Road down here. These are all areas to be concerned about. That's Gasburg Road, Dry Bread Road, as we talked about, Robinson Ferry. Those are all the roads out here in the far southern and western portion of Brunswick County. And I'm going to show you real quick so that we can, I have that available for you. The places that you want to go in those areas, right? If you're in southwestern portions of Brunswick County, an internal room is basically the place you want to be, as you want to find your safe space here in the central portion of a home, away from windows. That's really the number one thing, right? This is not a monster Midwest tornado, but if you can get yourself, it's pretty easy to do. When we found the safe place in our house, we said, okay, how many walls can we put in between us and the outside, and how many windows do we see in the room we're in? And for us, it's an interior hallway. It could be an interior hallway in your home. If you have a basement, that's great, obviously. But an interior bathroom or a closet is often the safest place to be in a tornado. So that tornado warning continues until 12:15 I'm going to head over to Rachel now. And again, that's the only game in town. We just have that one tornado right now, but we're watching that line closely.
Yeah, and continuing again to move north at about 30 to 25 miles per hour. So it's not moving too quickly, but we are seeing that area of lightning starting to move in now. Let's see if I can get these to work. But we're keeping an eye on this very closely because it is moving northward into larger populations in our viewing area. So we're just keeping an eye on it with that tornado watch in place until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Let's try and zoom in really quickly down here closer to the South Hill area. And again, this is a storm that was moving closer to Warrenton, North Carolina, and that cell has really held together here pretty well. Moving now over the state line, we're starting to see that heavier rainfall, and again, those lightning strikes there indicated by those silver dots. So this is going to be a noisy storm as it moves northward, really sort of along the Mecklenburg, Brunswick County line here, and again, moving at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Wanting to seek your safe spot if you do live in this area, that tornado warned area. And also if you know folks, maybe your grandparents, your parents are out in that area, maybe give them a call just to make sure that they know that that tornado warning has been issued and that they should be seeking their safe place. Looking at that velocity now, you can see that red is moving away from the radar site, that green towards. So we are seeing sort of a tighter couplet now, continuing to indicate some of that rotation higher up in the atmosphere. It doesn't mean that that rotation or that funnel cloud tornado is making it to the ground, but higher up in the atmosphere, we're seeing that rotation that could indicate the potential of a tornado and the reason for the issuance of this tornado warning that we're keeping an eye on now. So again, this is a tornado warning that runs for about another 15-16 minutes here. So we'll give it another 15 minutes that we'll stay here with you on air, keeping an eye on this tornado warning for you. And just a reminder, we have that tornado watch in place until 3 p.m. So even though this is just a small portion of our viewing area, this should be a reminder for everyone to kind of pick out that safe spot. Remind yourself of a safe spot, maybe even practice getting there as we do continue this tornado watch for another 3 hours into the afternoon. Other areas not under this tornado warned storm are seeing some spotty showers. Up into Farmville, seeing some light to moderate rainfall. Louisa, some spotty shower activity. And then closer to Williamsburg, some heavier downpours are passing through. But our main focus at the time is this tornado warning that was issued about maybe 15 minutes ago now and continuing for another 15 minutes. Andrew, I'll toss it over to you with a update. Do you have an update?
Yeah, there's nothing really new other than it still looks like it's rotating really well. We would expect these not to hold on for a super long amount of time, but this one it's still holding together. And again, if you're watching us, the vast majority of you are not under a tornado warning. I mean, we just have one little sliver, the far southern and most rural portion of our viewing area, way down here in Brunswick County, that you're under that tornado warning. But this is a signal as to what we think this line from Charlottesville down into North Carolina has the potential to do. Now, I do want to note here, if you look down in North Carolina, there's a little bit of sun fighting its way through the cloud cover, destabilizing the atmosphere and helping these form. We have been straight up cloudy basically everywhere else. And so hopefully that lack of sunshine can sort of tamp down the activity and the ability of this line to rotate as it continues to lift off into Brunswick County. But that cell's got some energy with it. It has sun, thunder, it has lightning, but that's the main line. There's not a whole lot back behind it that looks super troubling, but this line does look like it's concerning to us, and wow, it is really clear. It is relatively rare for us to see this. Now, this is not very close to the radar, so this could be elevated. It could be off the ground, and we haven't, and again, a reminder, this is a rural portion of North Carolina, and then up into Virginia. This is, again, Brunswick County, but we haven't had any reports that have a touchdown. And so there's no guarantee that these things that are going to spin, they could stay as funnel clouds up in the air. There's no guarantee that they will be touching down. But when you look at the, I'm going to go to the on-screen buttons here really quickly and switch over to what we call storm relative velocity, and we can really clearly see the change in wind direction with this area here. Now that's a pretty legit number. We haven't seen that number. Gate-to-gate shear is telling you how fast one side of the tornado or the cloud is moving versus the other. And there's a 73 mile an hour difference in speed going to and from the radar. And so that's a pretty well organized little couplet, little potential tornado, or an area of rotation that's off the ground. And so we're going to zoom in here really closely. I want to look real quick to see where that is. So you can see this is starting to move now up through that tornado warning. And so we're going to focus here on sort of the central and northern portion of that warning and take a look at some of the streets, I think. We'll activate the streets here and see who are the folks that need to be really taking caution. I'm going to zoom in. So we'll get a really close look here at basically the northern portion of this and some more roads here as we pull in closer. And I'm just going to tag on here. I'm going to add on roads. And if you're in one of these roads or if you know somebody that's on one of these roads, I've never, in my years at NBC 12, never clicked on and seen Dr. Purdy Road. But Dr. Purdy Road, Alvis Road, these are all small neighborhoods. Some of these may be family roads or just a few houses on it. Whippoorwill Trail. These are areas that right now, if you right now are not in your safe spot and you're in some of these roads, you need to be taking shelter. Hard to see that one, but that's Whitewood Drive. All of these communities, all of these roads that we're talking about, they're not all going to pop on here, but all of these are areas that need to be taking sort of immediate shelter. That's Huckstep Road. Hopefully, if you're in Brunswick County, this is giving you an idea as to where we think this storm is. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and to take a wider view, it's for those of you that are in the southernmost portion and westernmost portion of Brunswick County. Lawrenceville, which is the center of Brunswick County, or the county seat, I'm pretty sure it's the county seat of Brunswick County. Lawrenceville is not in this warning, but it would be potentially next if this holds together. And this is a really clear sign, a really clear couplet. That is just an amazing looking couplet, which leads me to believe that it's going to hold together for a bit. Now, the hope would be, as we talked about, that it's been pretty cloudy up to the north of this line, and that maybe that would allow things to sort of slow down a little bit. But for now, we've got to be very careful and take this one very seriously. I just looked at something that's called correlation coefficient that would see if we can see any debris being lifted up. I don't think we see that. And we do see, as we look at the lightning, there's a bunch of lightning here. So those of you out in Lawrenceville, you're probably hearing it now. And the lightning and thunder is starting to work its way up toward Route 58 in the southern and western portion of Brunswick County. So it's those are the folks that need to be taking shelter, immediately. This is let me zoom out just a little bit more. This is something, sometimes we have tornado warnings and we go, don't quite see it, or it looks like it's weakening. This one looks quite strong and the rotation is quite clear. Let me take a little bit wider view here so you can get an idea as to where this is. But in Sussex County is where the radar site is. This is only a couple counties away. I think the radar is getting a pretty good view of this here. But that one cell is what we're going to watch for the next about 10 minutes or so. And it's this line that from Fluvanna to Cumberland, Amelia, Nottoway, Lunenburg, and northern Brunswick is just plain old rain. And that drives home a point that we talked about when it comes to clouds. It got warmer in the southernmost portion of Virginia. There's a little warm front, it looks like, that's down there that's trying to lift up, and that may help things rotate. So it's that one tornado warning in southern Brunswick County we want you to be very cautious about. There's rain in other spots. Williamsburg's got rain. We've got rain up into Caroline County. I'm going to clear these buttons out of the way, but we don't have, other than this one for the next 10 minutes in Brunswick County, we don't have any other signs of rotating thunderstorms or tornadic thunderstorms or anything like that. Now, you have to keep in mind here, we have a tropical system weakening, a lot of wind shear with height, plus a whole lot of humidity. And that's something we actually haven't talked about, how warm it is out there right now and how high the dew point temperature is. You have temperatures in the low 70s. Emporia is at 77. So that's along a warm front that we think is in southern Virginia. And with the dew point, an air temperature at 77, the dew point temperature also, which we looked at, which is a measure of humidity in the air, is now it's in the low 70s. It's up in Richmond to 71. So if you go outside right now, it is just absolutely, it's borderline tropical. Yeah, we have a tropical air mass sitting on top of us. So you have a dew point temperature in the low 70s down here. You have thunder, there's lightning. And for folks in Brunswick County, we want you to really do your very best to make sure, as we take a look at where this warning is, to make sure that if you're in southwestern Brunswick County, you find your safe space and you stay there. Hopefully you can turn the television up and listen to us in there. Or you can use the NBC 12 weather app. If you don't have the NBC 12 weather app, you can put it on your phone and you can stream our broadcast live. But this is a tornado warning that looks every bit of an actual tornado. That said, it might not be on the ground. It might be off the ground, but that is, and we're going to zoom in again, but that is very clearly rotating. A lot of times we have a hard time kind of picking out the rotation, but we can see that there very well. There are two different things that we look at. Storm relative velocity, where we can see this here, and I wonder if it's, I don't think it's weakened very much. I think we probably will still see some pretty impressive, gate-to-gate shear here at 69 or 70 miles an hour. That's a legit funnel cloud here in the southernmost portion of Brunswick County. Powellton, I don't think Powellton is actually in. Yeah, Powellton is not in that warning, which again expires in about 8 minutes. But there's some really heavy rain in there. There's lightning, and there's that potential rotating thunderstorm. Rachel, give me the moment. I see on the graphic that you're working on that Rachel's pulling up the rain rate. Yeah. It's pouring down there.
We're getting some heavy rain.
Yeah. Do you want to hop on here, or you want me to keep rolling, or up to you?
I think I want you to keep going.
Okay, we'll keep on going here. So this is, that's the graphic that she was looking at, and I have a way to watch what Rachel's working at behind the scenes here, and that's a really good idea to pull this up here, because that is, we call this rain rate graphic. We tell the computer to take out all of the rain that's not super heavy, and then we can query actually how many inches per hour. That's got to be 2 or 3 inches of rain per hour here. That's just 3.23 inches of rain per hour. So that was a pouring batch of rain, and the heaviest rain looks actually to be out to the north, which is not surprising, out ahead of where that potential rotation is. So let's take a look at the velocity one more time. So it's raining heavily to the north of that. And let me move this now that we have that super. And I should mention here that the tornado warning, which goes until 12:15, I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance that this gets actually continued as it lifts to the north. Now, the one hope that you have is how cloudy it has been so far, and I'll go back a couple graphics here. I mean, we have had total cloud cover almost all day long in and around the Richmond metro area, and again, there's that tornado warning. So the hope is that that runs into some air that's a little bit more stable, and then it falls off the map. But that's the one game in town. So I'll take a wide view here, and we'll go to the radar picture. And that is the only one. Oh, I just hit it here behind the banner. But as you can see, that tornado warning for Brunswick County, it actually includes a little sliver of Mecklenburg County. I know we have it on the screen in Brunswick County, but to our graphics team, there's no need to change it. Oh, actually, it no longer includes. Did they just issue a new one? Rachel, I think they may have updated it, because it for a while had on there. No, it's still 12:15. For a while, they had a little sliver of Mecklenburg County. I think what they just basically did was cut it back. Let's zoom in real quick. And by the way, I should mention that the First Alert Weather Team, like, we anticipated this. We actually on Monday tagged today as a First Alert Weather Day. We thought this would be a day that we had the potential for some pretty nasty weather, and we're staffed up and ready to go. Megan is actually going to be in soon here, coming in early, and we're just kind of, I think, going to be tracking this one line as it works its way through Central Virginia. The question is, how long will that hold together? And that very clearly right now is a rotating funnel cloud at the very least. So again, this is west of 46, south of 58 in Brunswick County. Visible satellite map, basically completely cloudy, save for some sun that just worked its way through Clarksville. So what do you do if you have a tornado warning? And those of you in Brunswick County on the weather app, or you're hearing us talk about it, south of 58, west of 46, there's either a tornado above you that hasn't touched down, we call it a funnel cloud, or it's on the ground. And so we want you to think very seriously about where you should be going. You should be in your safe space if you're under that tornado warning. Now, the rest of us under a tornado watch, we're continuing our day. We're being alert, but we don't have to go into our safe space. I think that people are quite safe in a lot of places. This is one little portion of Central Virginia wants you to go into that safe space. You don't go look through the windows, because the thing that in these tornadoes, which tend to be on the weaker side and relatively short-lived, although this one's been around for a while, they tend to be the kind of storms that produce damage with debris coming through windows, or even windows smashing and causing people getting cut from glass. So you want to stay away from the outdoor, the exterior walls as much as you can. If you can make it into a low-lying area like a basement or even a cellar, that is the way to go. Back in the Richmond metro, we are looking fine. It's cloudy, and we've got some rain. And again, that First Alert Weather Day today, just to give you a quick look ahead, if you're trying to plan for tomorrow, low 70s. It'll be a beautiful day tomorrow, a little bit warmer than normal, with a rain chance only 20%. We think there might be a quick shower that pops up, late in the day or toward the evening. And then as humid and as warm as it is now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I mean, it is going to be feeling like winter, as we're going to have to get our winter coats out into next week, and that really basically starts on Sunday. So the forecast for the next little bit here does include For those of you down here in south and west of Lawrenceville in Brunswick County, you're under a tornado warning as we speak. I wonder if it's a little bit less. There's the storm relative mean velocity. Let's take a quick look at the velocity map. A little bit less intense when you look at the radar picture. Rachel, thoughts on that?
Starting to shrink it back, so moving up closer to, I think that's maybe moving up closer to 58 there, yeah.
So you mean they shrunk back the bottom?
They shrunk back to the bottom,
So
yeah.
we still have the same time. Yeah. So
yeah,
that,
and I have that cone pulled up. Sorry, 12:18.
Okay, you want to switch over here?
12:18 in the afternoon, making it to Diamond Grove. So even if they don't continue this tornado warning, you're going to see pretty intense rainfall rates. It's going to be pouring for the next 15 to maybe even 20 minutes here. Again, making that rotation a little bit potentially closer to Merchant over the next couple of minutes here. Diamond Grove over the next couple of minutes. Grandy arriving at 12:31. I believe we're still in Brunswick County there, and then to Alberta in Brunswick County at 12:40. So this isn't moving too fast. It's moving slow, which isn't good news of that heavy rainfall that's now making it over to Route 1 and I-85 closer to Alberta now. So anywhere you're driving, you'll need those windshield wipers on. You may have to pull over with limited visibility due to that heavy rain. And this is just one area where we're tracking some of those heavier showers. Everywhere else, we're seeing some scattered downpours and some lighter rain now moving through the Richmond metro. So some light rain up towards Farmville, Charlottesville, Louisa seeing some light rain still, and then over into the Middle Peninsula, running into an area of heavier downpours. And now the National Weather Service is discussing, and they just extended this tornado warning. So let's zoom back in, see if I can get you closer. It looks like it's still in Brunswick County and just Brunswick County, right, Andrew?
It's all within Brunswick County right now.
All right, I don't have my thing in play mode, so I can't zoom you in. We can move on over and let Andrew come back. Better chance at moving those on-air buttons there.
Yeah, so now we have a large chunk of Brunswick County that is under a tornado warning now. In the southern portion of the county, we're not too worried about this. Again, the overall tornado watch goes until 3, and we're just basically tracking this one cell, excuse me, that is very, very clearly rotating, and it's this line that we're concerned about. So now a large chunk of Brunswick County. Of note, the tornado warning now includes basically all of Interstate 85 in Brunswick County. So to set the stage here, and let me actually switch over to another graphic that'll show you the actual warning, is this one right here. There's the cell. So we think that this storm system is now pulling away from the southernmost portion of Brunswick County. It'll cross over Route 58. Now, you probably already had a whole bunch of heavy rain that Rachel told you about, some thunder and some lightning. This is on the back edge of that storm cell. And so along Route 58, this is going to be crossing 58, we think, just to the west of Lawrenceville. and this storm system is going to be lifting off to the north and then potentially going up to Alberta. Is that one, did they pick up the forward speed on that? Are they going 30 plus miles an hour now on that one? Rachel, check the, oh, Rachel's on the phone right now. But this storm cell is lifting to the north. Let me just take a quick look by turning the query buttons on here. But this is a storm system. I think it's probably got a little faster forward speed on it, as they have it going until 12:45. But this is lifting off to the north. But now we have a lot more of a population center that's involved in this potential tornado. And again, I don't think that we have any note of this actually touching down as of yet. And it does look to us like it's a little bit weaker on the weather maps in terms of its rotation compared to what we saw about 10 minutes or so ago. That said, let's switch over to the storm relative mean velocity, and work this up here. And so we see still some rotation, but we'll do the query. And if you were with us for past 15, 20 minutes, this cell, when it was down in southern Brunswick County, I guess it still is, it's about to go over Route 58, that cell has the potential here, or the gate-to-gate shear. I don't think we're going to see the same numbers. We saw numbers like 70 miles gate-to-gate shear, and I've got some hope that as this works its way up toward Route 58 and points north of it, that we're going to run into areas that have been totally cloudy, just completely clouded over all day long, like it wasn't down in North Carolina. And so that hopefully this area here, which includes Lawrenceville, which includes Alberta, doesn't take the brunt of an actual tornado. But For those of you that are watching right now in Lawrenceville, let me get these buttons out of the way. If you're watching in Lawrenceville, we want you to actually immediately take shelter along Route 58, along 46, along Interstate 85. I would not right now leave South Hill and take 85 and drive up toward Brunswick County or up toward the Tri-Cities, if you think of it as that. And I wouldn't if I was in Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is up here. Let me switch over real quick, put these buttons on. Dinwiddie is to the north of this. So if you are in Dinwiddie and you're thinking of leaving Dinwiddie, taking 40 to 85 or Route 1 and going south into Brunswick County, that is a no-go situation here because there is a potential tornadic thunderstorm in Brunswick. If your travel plans take you there, I think you got to wait. You got to sit this one out safely, hopefully up in Dinwiddie, and hopefully this storm system doesn't hold together. Hopefully that cell doesn't hold together. But that's Dinwiddie. We go 85 down into Brunswick, and I'll switch over to the map here. We'll talk about the folks that need to be, we think, taking shelter right now. And so I'll take a look at some of the streets that are involved here. And the ones that we have on the map now are big ones. This is 58. And I think that this cell is going to the north of 58. Let's switch over real quick to the velocity and you'll see it. That's the cell right there. It looks like it's going to the north of 58, the storm relative mean velocity. And I think, Rachel, you've been looking behind the scenes. This looks less impressive.
Yes, and like you mentioned before, no confirmation of a tornado on the ground
So still,
as of yet.
yeah, so these are what's called radar indicated. And these radar indicated tornadoes. And I have a little hope and I have some knowledge behind the fact that this system could weaken as it continues to lift to the north. We've seen, I think, a little bit of weakening already. Because it's been so cloudy. Now, it is really humid and it's really warm, but let's take a quick look at the what we call the shear. Gate-to-gate shear in here is not as impressive as it was earlier. If I hit these buttons and I see numbers like 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, that has you a little bit more concerned, but we're not seeing those same big numbers. But we do want you to make sure that you really pay attention, not even pay attention, but Lawrenceville and points north. So let's zoom in now to the central and northern portion of that warning, and we'll take a look at some of the roads that would be in the way. Let me pan this up so I can get these streets located for you. There are a lot of streets in here, more than in southwestern portions of the Tobacco Heritage Trail. I think that's actually a trail versus a road, but Virginia Street. If you head on 46 north and west of, this is Lawrenceville right here. That's a street. If you're there, you want to take shelter. If you're on Poorhouse Road, which is north of and Brightleaf Road. If you're curious, there's a lot of tobacco heritage down here, one of the country's tobacco areas, and so I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing those numbers or seeing those street names in that way. But Iron Bridge Road, these are all roads that are in and around Lawrenceville, to put a broad stroke on it. And so in that area, again, there's Lawrenceville, there's 58, there's a little bypass, and then you can take 58 Business into Lawrenceville and Route 46 South. These are all in the tornado warning area. The velocity map here, there's the storm relative mean velocity. I think we're looking a little bit better. And now this goes until 12, is it until 12:45?
12:45,
Yeah, it goes until 12:45. I've got some hope. There's a chance that this actually will be dropped before that. But that said, if you're in Brunswick, you need to take shelter now. Rachel's going to help you plan by taking a wider view of what's going on. Rachel.
Yeah, we're seeing some showers throughout the area scattered. Of course, seeing the heaviest of that rainfall through Brunswick County, where we're seeing that thunderstorm. Really the only area that's reporting and getting that lightning return from the radar now is east of Mecklenburg County and working its way. I believe that's closer to Brunswick County, where we have that tornado-warned storm that did move out of North Carolina, north of Raleigh earlier, where we saw a little bit more sunshine, so it was able to develop and mature and lead to this risk of some severe weather, and of course the risk of some rotation and that tornado threat as well. I'd like to mention that we have not seen reports of this tornado making it to the ground, so that funnel cloud that we typically see maybe some pictures of, that cloud deck starting to look like it's coning down towards the ground. We haven't seen that hit the ground yet. So we haven't had a report of that. That's good news. But as always, just be on the cautious side of things, and you're going to want to take shelter and be in that safe spot. So zooming you in a little bit closer to Brunswick County now and that tornado warned storm. This is moving north at 35 miles per hour now. So it is picking up in pace just a bit. And I'll go ahead and try to put a cone on this so we can get you some areas where it is headed as we head through the next 30 minutes or so until this is set to expire. So it's moving northeast at about 35. So making it to Cool Spring at about 12:36 this afternoon, making it to Crest at 12:37. So this is moving just a clip or two faster, and then making it to Rawlings in Brunswick County as well at 12:50. So we're continuing to watch this area of some heavy rain. And earlier we were pulling in rainfall rates anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain. So this is a downpour passing through, probably limiting some visibility out there on the roadways. Definitely, when you get caught in a downpour like this, safer to take things just a touch slower. And maybe I can get that Corey button to work, and we can pick out that area of some heavy rain. We'll see if that works. So precip rate right around 2 inches, 2.5 inches, possibly of that rain falling down. So again, puddles, pooling, ponding in the roadways will be an issue. You may see some brief low-lying poor drainage, flooding with this moving through, just continuing to keep an eye on some heavy downpours passing through not only Brunswick County, where we have this tornado warned storm, but throughout the entirety of our area as well. So let's look at that tornado warning one more time. You can see off into Brunswick County and moving northeast. So starting to move into some areas of higher population. And here's that tornado watch for you that will show you not everyone is in the clear. And like I was mentioning earlier, the National Weather Service is actually discussing a better chance for some supercell tornadoes for southeastern Virginia. So we're definitely not in the clear, and this may not be the only tornado warned storm that we see through the next couple of hours. This runs until 3 o'clock this afternoon.